Have you ever wondered, what if all H-1B visa holders left from America? This visa is America's high-skilled work permit. Every year, up to 85,000 of these are issued to foreign professionals, mostly in technology, healthcare, and research. Over 600,000 H-1B holders work in the US at any given time. These visas power the backbone of Silicon Valley, staff hospitals, and fill university labs. Nearly 3/4 of H-1B recipients work in computer and IT fields. 1 in 4 doctors in America is foreign-born, many on H-1B or similar visas. Headlines warn, America's innovation engine relies on H-1B talent. These workers are the coders, the surgeons, the researchers behind breakthroughs. Now imagine waking up one morning and every single H-1B visa holder is gone. Offices, hospitals, and labs across the country suddenly empty. The group chat for your big project at work, silent. Your doctor's office sends a mass text. All non-emergency appointments are cancelled until further notice. You flip on the news, and every single channel is showing the same thing. Empty office parks in Silicon Valley, deserted hospital wings in rural Ohio, university labs with the lights off in Boston. What's going on? It's not a holiday. It's not a strike. It's something way, way bigger. It's the day every single H-1B visa holder in the United States just vanished. Poof. Gone. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, not in a spooky leftovers-style mystery, but a coordinated overnight departure. They packed their bags, they boarded planes, they went back to their home countries. Think about it. The software engineer from Bangalore who was single-handedly debugging your company's new app. The anesthesiologist from Nigeria who was scheduled for a 12-hour shift at your local hospital. The postdoctoral researcher from China who was on the verge of a breakthrough in cancer treatment. They're all gone. Monday morning in Silicon Valley, or what's left of it. Imagine the headquarters of a company we'll call Connectiverse, the one behind that social media app everyone is addicted to. Usually, the campus is buzzing by 8 a.m. electric scooters zipping by kombucha, flowing on tap, people in hoodies furiously typing on laptops. But today, entire floors are ghost towns. The team working on the new AI-powered content filter, gone. The lead engineers for the cloud infrastructure team, gone. The entire data science division, gone. Their laptops are on their desks, their plants are wilting, but the people are nowhere to be found. The first wave of panic hits as 1,000 tiny system failures. A major e-commerce website crashes. The person who wrote 80% of the back-end code is now in Hyderabad. A banking app security patch is sitting unfinished on a server. The cybersecurity expert from Israel who designed it is gone. Project managers stare at meaningless Gantt charts, stand-up meetings, bewildered domestic employees asking, who was handling the API integration? Was it Priya? Or was it Wei? Institutional knowledge hasn't just walked out the door, it has crossed an ocean. HR departments are in full-blown meltdown mode, entire departments wiped out. That future just got a massive system-wide 404 error. Tuesday. The shock in the tech world was digital, a crisis of code and commerce. But today, the crisis becomes physical. It becomes about flesh and blood. You call your doctor for an urgent appointment. The receptionist, her voice strained, tells you the earliest opening is in 4 months. Why? Because a huge chunk of the hospital's physicians just disappeared. Rural clinics in West Virginia, inner-city hospitals in Detroit, community health centers in the forgotten corners of America. Over 1/4 of all physicians in the US are foreign-born. A significant number are or were on H-1B visas. The epicenter of this new crisis is the hospital. Emergency rooms are overflowing. Not just patients, but chaos. Rural Texas Hospital. It relied on 3 H-1B-sponsored doctors for its internal medicine department. Now it's diverting non-critical patients 100 miles away. Imagine being a nurse on that floor. Yesterday, you had a team. Today, you are the team, managing a dozen critically ill patients with a skeleton crew of stunned residents. Specialists are gone too. Oncologists, neurologists, cardiologists, treatments halted, lifelines severed. Wednesday, the crisis now climbs the walls of the ivory tower. America's universities and research institutions are, for lack of a better term, freaking out. You see, H-1B visas aren't just for tech bros and doctors. They are the lifeblood of academia. postdoctoral researchers, tenure-track professors, senior scientists. We're talking about the brilliant minds in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. These are the people teaching the next generation of American innovators and conducting the foundational research that leads to Nobel Prizes and world-changing inventions. And today, their classrooms are empty and their labs are sealed. Picture a graduate-level quantum computing class at MIT. Yesterday, there were 25 students and a world-renowned professor from Iran. Today, the professor and 20 of those students are gone. The remaining 5 American-born students are sitting in an empty lecture hall. The entire department is gutted. Who is going to teach these advanced courses? Who is going to mentor the PhD candidates? The deans and department heads are holding emergency meetings, but there are no easy answers. Thursday. The crisis that started in server rooms and hospitals has now arrived at the front door of Wall Street, and well, it is not knocking politely. The stock market, which had been stumbling all week, goes into a full-blown freefall. The Dow Jones Industrial Average sheds 2,000 points at the opening bell. The Nasdaq, heavily weighted with the now gutted tech giants, triggers its circuit breaker halts within the first 15 minutes of trading. Why? Because investors are finally pricing in the catastrophic reality of the Great Departure. This isn't a temporary dip. It's a fundamental re-evaluation of America's entire economic future. The big banks and financial institutions are in their own state of shock. Turns out, a massive number of their quants were H-1B holders, math geniuses from places like India, China, and Eastern Europe who build the financial models that power Wall Street. Without them, the models are breaking down. Trading desks are flying blind. Risk assessment has become, honestly, a guessing game. A senior VP said, "It's like all our pilots and navigators jumped out of the plane mid-flight. We're just passengers now." The shockwave hits every sector. Pharmaceutical stocks are plummeting because their drug pipelines are now frozen. Manufacturing stocks are down because the specialized engineers who kept the automated factories running are gone. On Thursday, the abstract fears of the past 3 days are translated into the one language everyone understands: money. Friday. The crisis has cascaded down from the corporate towers and sterile labs, and now it's splashing onto the sidewalks of Main Street, USA. The effects are no longer abstract. They're personal and tangible for everyday Americans. You go to your favorite Indian restaurant for dinner, the one run by a family whose chef was here on a specialty occupation visa. It's closed. A sign on the door says, "Closed indefinitely." You drive past the local strip mall. The dry cleaner is dark. The accounting firm is dark. The IT support shop is dark. These small businesses, often run by immigrant entrepreneurs, were a vital part of the local economy. Their sudden closure leaves not only a void in services but also unemployed American workers. The housing market begins to show signs of a serious problem. In tech-heavy hubs like Austin, for sale signs start popping up in front of high-end homes and condos. In Seattle, for sale signs start popping up in front of high-end homes and condos. In the Bay Area, for sale signs start popping up in front of high-end homes and condos. These were the houses owned by the dual-income H-1B families who are now gone. Suddenly, the market is flooded with inventory. Housing prices, which had been astronomically high, begin to teeter on the edge of a cliff. This creates a nightmare scenario for American homeowners in those areas who see their own property values plummeting. Think about all the jobs that existed to support this vibrant community of high-skilled workers. Real estate agents, car dealers. The economic pain is spreading like a virus. Saturday. The weekend offers no respite. If anything, the pause in the work week only gives the nation more time to contemplate the abyss. All eyes turn to Washington, D.C. Politicians are finally forced into the spotlight. The president schedules an emergency address to the nation. Congressional leaders from both parties enter frantic closed-door meetings at the Capitol. The blame game begins in earnest. A furious tornado of finger-pointing. That does absolutely nothing to solve the underlying catastrophe. It's political theater at its most tragic. One side blames the other for fostering an anti-immigrant climate. They call for emergency legislation to lure them back. They propose unprecedented incentives. They promise pathways to citizenship. The other side fires back, accusing corporations of being addicted to cheap foreign labor, claiming this is a chance to reclaim American jobs. But there's no one qualified to fill millions of highly specialized vacant roles. Corporate lobbyists descend on K Street with a vengeance. Tech CEOs, pharmaceutical executives, university presidents. They present data showing catastrophic production halts, projecting trillions in lost GDP over the next year. A monumental clash, nationalist rhetoric versus the global reality of modern business. Sunday, 1 week. It's been just 7 days since the Great Departure. The country takes a collective, shaky breath and looks around at the wreckage. The frantic chaos of the first few days has subsided into a grim new normal. The stock market is closed. Everyone dreads Monday. The news shifts from shock to the long, hard road ahead. Headlines: the Great Reconstruction. Economists warn depression. Economists warn lost decade. This isn't a temporary blip. It's a profound structural shift in America's place in the world. So, what have we learned after 1 week in this Twilight Zone episode of An America? We've learned that the debate over H-1B visas was never just about jobs. It was about the fundamental nature of the American engine. It was never just a line item in an immigration bill. It was the code running in the background of our daily lives, the specialized knowledge in the operating room, the spark of genius in the research lab. We took for granted that the best and brightest would always want to come here, assuming that American prestige was an infinite resource. This week proved that it's not. It's a choice, and people can choose to go elsewhere. The aftermath forces a national identity crisis. It's a stark reminder that a nation's greatest asset isn't its soil or its buildings, but the talent it can attract and retain, or one that looks outward and continues to lead.